Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show. I'm Bobby Kinzer,
And I'm Thomas Doty.
and we are the FITT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. I'd like to thank everybody who's tuning in today. This is our 120th show. We've been dropping a lot of knowledge. Hope we have been helping a lot of people, and we hope that you have been sharing that information. Just want to make sure that y'all remember to click on the like button and the heart button. And if you have any comments, and we like to make this an interactive show, and the way that we can be interactive with you is if you put different comments in the comment box, and that will also help us gain traction and reach more people. How you doing today, Dope?
Man, I'm happy to be home. Life's good.
You's a traveling man. I got to tell you that much, man.
You got to do it when you can, my brother.
That's the name of the game, isn't it? Now, last week's show was how too much cash can hurt you. And once again, got a lot of responses about that particular show because that's one that's near and dear to a lot of people because a lot of people are not risk takers and they sit on a lot of cash. So I hope you all really learned something from that particular show. But this week, we're going to be talking about the essential keys to building wealth. We've talked about a lot of different things, and we want to horn in on some of those essential keys today that would help you build wealth. But we hope that when you tune into these shows that you share them, because you can share our Facebook Live, because they archived. And we also, when you subscribe to us on YouTube, you can also share those. So, don't hold this information for yourself. Share it with your family, your friends, your co-workers, because we've been dropping some good nuggets. And once again, if you have any particular subjects you would like for us to cover, please put those in the comment box, and we will definitely try to cover those on future shows. So, with that, we like to start from the top of the show with the number one most talked about subject is the stock market. And we know there's a lot of things maybe going on with the stock market, especially with the threatening of the shutdown of the government and the threat of the recession again. But Dope, what kind of news you going to give us today?
Nothing but bad news, my brother. Market had a rough week. I think it was Tuesday. Stocks had their worst day since March. I mean, it's just been really bad. A little bit of recovery today. For the week, it's not too bad. The Dow's off 400 points. NASDAQ's only off 22. Microsoft's 6, Tesla 11, Apple down 3, Pfizer's 1, and NVIDIA is up 21. And that's an interesting story in and of itself, Bob.
Right.
Because I got into NVIDIA at 170, and when it dropped last week, I was about to pull the trigger to buy some more. And reason being, and it's one of those little games in the market, because I'm sitting on a gain, that affords me the ability to take a chance on buying some more, because if it goes down, then I'll have that loss to offset part of my gain. But of course, I'd much rather it go up. But it's just another little idiosyncrasy of the market that encourages or benefits you from investing, because basically the tax situation kind of takes some of the sting of losing away. It basically subsidizes that risky bet, because if you already have a gain, you got to pay taxes on the gain. But if you have a loss, you can offset that gain. So it just affords you the opportunity to take a chance. And that's another little thing that people do. And it kind of helps you out. If you think about it, Bob, you got a chance to take when you're sitting on a game, you have a chance to take a flyer, not a flyer, because it's a calculated risk. Because I mean, Nvidia was out almost up to 500. So I mean, if I liked it at 500 and didn't sell it, I gotta love it in the low 400s. I mean, if I felt that strongly about it when it was up near 500. So I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to buy some more, but that's what I'm going to play with because I still think there's some more downside in this market. The thing that's killing the market right now, it all stems from the Fed's meeting last week, where they talked about the possibility of raising interest rate in the future, even though they did not raise them last week. I mean, Treasury yields, 10-year Treasury yields are at highs that have not been seen since like 2007. And so the bond market's kind of going crazy because now it looks like the Fed may have to raise interest rates in the future. So it'll be a while before they start going down, which definitely feeds the bond market. And the thing that's really kind of crazy is that home sales are going down. I think they were down like 9% in July, but housing prices are at all-time highs. And so, and I kind of think people aren't selling because if you're going to sell and get another mortgage, nobody wants a 7% mortgage. And so the supply of homes is very low, which is driving up the prices. And so that's one of the things that the Fed's looking at and saying it's going to keep, the affordability of houses continue to be tough to get. So all that kind of leads to the fact that the Fed may continue to increase interest rates, which is going to have a negative drag on the Dow. So it's looking more and more like there might be a recession in the future. We'll have to wait and see. As Bob mentioned, the shutdown and our credit rating dropping could have a negative effect on the stock market. So there's a whole lot of negative energy out there right now. And all we always tell you is to hang loose and also look for opportunities. I mean, good stocks are good stocks. Again, I'm definitely going to buy some more Nvidia. I kind of got too much Microsoft. Those are the only two. Those are kind of my two stars, the ones that I am most invested in. But it's also it's a good time to look for bargains. And when the market does turn around, you'll be sitting pretty if you buy a good stock now while it's low. So, wish I had better news, but I don't.
Yeah, though it's interesting because my star is NXP, which is also a semiconductor um, corporation, and they back over $200 a share, and they sort of track with NVIDIA because NVIDIA is a major semiconductor, but NVIDIA is also into the AI, artificial intelligence too,
Right.
combined with semiconductors. So they move right on. But those two, and they're much bigger than NXP, which is in Holland, but it's been it's over 200. I think I got it at $90 a share, and that's been my star, and it's been tracking right along with NVIDIA, sort of like the counter part of NVIDIA. And
Hey,
interesting.
hey, Bob, did it make sense what I was trying to explain about buying a stock when you're sitting on a game? Did that make? I want to make sure people understand that because, again, we talked about this before, and we're going to talk about it more in our show. But the thing about building wealth and making money is understanding the rules of the game and taking advantage of them. And my own personal opinion in this country, you three things you ought to do is own a home, invest in stocks, and own a business because those are all treated favorably by the tax code. And I mean, you don't have to be a tax accountant to understand the gains and losses. And if you have a gain, you're going to pay taxes on that gain, even though it's long term, if you held it for over a year. But when you have an opportunity to buy something and be covered somewhat if it goes down, it's just an opportunity to make some money. But if you need to talk to your advisor about it, give them a shout. But just think about it. It's just another piece of information, another way to take advantage of the tax code. It's not illegal. It's not criminal, and it's what rich people have been doing since the beginning of time. Is taking advantage of the tax code. So
It's sort of like taking advantage of two sides, of the on two sides of the coin. One is the gain and one is the loss, and a lot of people know how to work it on both
right,
to your advantage. We always talk about dollar cost averaging, which is you just purchasing every month, and when it goes up, you may have fewer shares, but when it go down, you can buy more shares. But after you plot it over a period of time, you come out ahead. Now, this is just another different strategy of not if you're not constantly, purchasing shares every month. If you see the stock go down and it's been up, and I think you explained it very well, though, that you can also, get in if you had it and if it was good when it's up. And if it's a good company, that's the other thing, and it has, good indicators, then why wouldn't you get in when it's a little bit cheaper to buy more shares?
that's for sure. Because stocks go down because the overall market goes down. That doesn't affect the performance of that particular company. If you feel that company has attributes that you think are going to be profitable in the future, then the time to buy it is when it is down. So it's just something else to think about,
Yeah, because most people, when it go down, they want to jump out of the stock.
which is
Which,
bass backwards, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, and this is the other caveat. Now, if you need the money, then maybe that is a good idea, to take it out. But if you're talking about trying to build wealth, like we always talk about over the time horizon, that's the play. It goes down and up. Why not buy more shares when it's down? That's the
Yeah,
game. But that's it for the stock market. We take a close look on that because we believe that's one of the essential places that you can build wealth. We're going to talk about that today. Some other really important keys that sometimes people don't think about. But let's get into the cryptocurrency though. Uh, Cryptocurrency, the total market cap is up about 23 billion, about 2%. And look at the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is up $438 per Bitcoin. And I got is that the right number? No, 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 no. Okay.
yeah,
Give me
that's
that
not the right
number.
number.
I'm so sorry. I got the wrong number in there. It would have, it's actually 27. I don't know how that got it. I didn't change that number, but let me just make sure I got the right number. Yeah, before I change it, 27,443, right? That's right. Here we go.
Bitcoin's 27,000. Yeah,
27. Oh, 43. Okay. And yeah, so yeah, just want to make that change because 043 27
should be
043
4
minus 26
445, right? Uh,
equal 455.
yeah, 455, right?
Okay, sorry there, but I'll correct my numbers right there, and then that's going to be actually a 17% increase. So say what you want, because my partner Juan Holcomb was like, Bob, I've been reading about Bitcoins. They talk about how it's terrible. It's going. I said, but Juan, it's over 20,000 cryptocurrencies, and I don't advise people to be in all that other because a lot of it they call them crap coins, but like Bitcoin is still the number one out of 20,000 cryptocurrencies, and if you were in it and you got in like me when it was down to 25, this is pretty good. 45 per Bitcoin. I mean, that's not a 17% increase. Where you going to get that? So say what you want about cryptocurrency, but the main ones, and that's why we show the ones that we show right here. We show they call these the stalwarts like
Yeah.
Ethereum.
And Bob, we've talked about this before, and the reason I think Bitcoin or one of them is going to become to be in play, it's it's like buying concert tickets from Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster serves no function at all, nothing. But if you buy a ticket through Ticketmaster, they tack on 20, 30, I've seen as high as 35% surcharge just to buy the ticket through them. Again, they provide no service. They just in the middle. And if you had a currency like Bitcoin, you simply go direct to either the concert producer or whoever. You wouldn't need, it gets rid of the middleman, which I think is going to be the way things are done in the future. And that's the only reason I invested in Bitcoin. Because again, I don't think you need a middleman. And the small businesses right now are getting crushed by the credit card fees from Visa and MasterCard. And again, that's another situation where, there is some administrative work in that situation, but you got a middleman making money and not doing a lot of work. And so, again, if you have Bitcoin, you wouldn't need a Visa card. You wouldn't need MasterCard. I think it'll just be an easier way to do business.
But though that was supposed to be the whole premise behind creating cryptocurrency,
Definitely.
it was to be a peer-to-peer transaction,
Yep.
meaning cutting the middleman out, and then it's what they call a blockchain, which everybody can see. So it's harder for you to go out there and change things because everybody can see. So it's supposed to help, the security of the particular currency. And plus the dollar, has been going down, the value of the dollar. So they're trying to come with another currency for transactions. Because when you go, and that's why when you at stores like Walmart and they ask you, debit or credit, they want you to use debit because they're not charged. But if you use credit, then Visa's charging them 3-4% for doing your transaction. And that's
Yeah, but see, some of the big companies like Walmart and Costco, they've negotiated that rate down. If you have enough volume and enough clout, you can negotiate with them. Like you can only use a Visa card, I think, in Costco. So they negotiated that rate down. But you get these small businesses, and most of them only make 4 or 5%. When you're paying 3% in credit card fees, that's a big hunk of their revenue. And so it's really rough on these small businesses. But most kids, none of my kids carry cash, which drives me crazy. But younger folks just don't. They use credit cards. They don't use or even their phone. So something has to change there, and I think it will.
Though I was when I was at the FDIC going around the country talking to school systems and administrators and teachers, teaching them how to teach financial literacy. One of the ladies, we had a module that taught about check writing. She said, "Sir, my son is 28 years old and he has never wrote a check in his life." And look, shoot, in cursive writing, shoot, they're not even using signatures no more. Cursive writing has gone out. They don't even teach cursive writing. So most people is just to say, and you look at some of them signatures, it's like, good Lord.
Well,
But
you know me, I'm always trying to get my reward. So I use a credit card every chance you get.
yeah, I just want to show Shiba Inu that meme coin. It's dropped again though, and I just think Shiba, poor thing. I know a lot of people invested in Shiba, my friends, when it was up. I'm talking about. I know somebody made over 180,000 from putting in. What did he put in? About 30,000. And I'd like to know where he is now because it's just been tanking. It's just been dropping down. Now it's number 19. And that's why we always say it's kind of important to stick with the top 10, at least with the top 10. but there's so many other ones. And once again, if you have a high risk tolerance, then that's on you. If you have the money that you can afford to take those chances and speculating, that's on you. But just be careful because it's highly speculative, and there's a bunch of games out there, people scamming with cryptocurrency. So just want you to be aware of that. So let's get into our topic of today, which is what are some keys to wealth building?
Yeah, and usually most people think it's saving money, and that obviously is important. And what we're going to talk about tonight is what the rich folks do to to save money, and some of the things they do make a lot of sense, and anybody can implement some of the things they do to make money. And now it's given that the rich rely on their massive cash savings, and that's what they use to invest in businesses, real estate, stock market, and that that's one advantage when you're sitting on that much money, and they also buy art and other things like that. And those things make them even richer and keep more money coming in. But the thing, they had a survey in CNBC had a survey in 2023, and it found that right now, if people who have at least $1 million in investable assets, they keep about a quarter of their wealth in cold hard cash. And that only makes sense, especially now when you can pretty much get over 5% kind of fixed and guaranteed. And we always talk about the S&P since 1926 has gone up an average of 10-11% a year, but there's always some risk involved with that. There's some down years, and so if you can get a guaranteed 5%, then a lot of people are going that route. But saving isn't real easy for the lower 99%. The 1% could do that. And another study by the geo-banking rate study, it talked to over 1,000 people, and it tried to identify 5 primary roadblocks that prevent them from socking enough money away to join that millionaire class. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
And everybody knows that saving money is an essential part of becoming wealthy, but saving is sometimes easier said than done. While the average person may put aside money here and there, wealthy people decide on a fixed amount they will save from every paycheck and put it directly into a savings account. And we're going to discuss some of those things that wealthy people do. And it'll surprise you because a lot of times people think that, when you look at some of the things wealthy people doing, having expensive cars and big homes, that they're just, splurging and overspending. But actually, the ones who are very knowledgeable and frugal, not, because, the whole game is to take a percentage of what you earn, no matter how little you earn or how much you earn. Because we always say it's not how much you make, it's what you do what you make. Now, Tony Robbins, the great life and business strategist, he said a percentage has to be set aside if you're going to keep for you and your family. And when you get 15 to 20% savings rate, if you're getting that and you put it in a place where it's compounding, you're going to be financially free. You're going to be financially independent. And it's just, just that simple. But there's a few things, though, you all, because we always say, building wealth is not easy. It takes work. But there's just a few keys that you need to sort of consider.
Well, the number one roadblock to saving, and this one doesn't take a genius to figure out, is low income, right? In the survey, most people felt they earned too little to save efficiently. And one of the things the rich do is they take the employer out of the equation and they work on generating income on their own that they can control by starting a business. And so wealthy Americans are usually good at leveraging their time. They keep costs low in order to invest in income generating assets rather than making money by trading their time working for a salary. And when you look at some of the benefits you get from the tax code for running a business, it's no wonder that that's a good way to do it. And so that's one of the things rich folks do is get a business, get the employer out of the equation, and make their own money, get more money invested, and go from there. So we'll talk in a minute about a couple different ways you can increase your income stream.
And when you start talking about a business, it's not as difficult as people may think, though, because it just sometimes just think about the skill sets that you may have that could be earn income, or think about a particular service that needs to be fulfilled. And so I know a lot of people skirmish about businesses, but like you said at the top of the show, though, so many of the tax laws are made to benefit people that definitely have a business. So to get off of that clock, it's hard to become wealthy if you're working 8 hours a day.
Hey, Bob, just a couple of statistics. The bottom 90% earn 80 to 90% of their lifetime income by exchanging their labor for wages. On the other hand, the wealthiest 0.1% get 83% of their combined earnings from capital gains and other equity assets.
Wow.
Not from working.
There's
something to that.
That's interesting statistics. Hey, let me tell you about another one, man. And everybody can come to grips with this one. Overwhelmed with bills. Now, the next biggest group of the respondents in this survey is 22% who said their bills are so expensive they can't save significant amount of money. Now, when you see these wealthy people sprawling mansions and exotic cars and fast lifestyles, you might assume that the rich too has enormous bills. They do compared to most people, the average person, but not compared to their incomes. While the rich may have relatively high bills, they typically avoid living above their means. And I can't say that enough. As we talk about, there's so many people trying to keep up with the Joneses, and they don't live, within their means. They live above their means, and being unable to pay themselves first. You got to be able to pay yourself first. I see so many people spend, and what they have left, that's what they try to make it on instead of save and then spend what they have left. Now, in April, there was a money guru, everybody knows, Dave Ramsey, and this article that we get information comes from the banking rates. It's the 100 most influential money experts list. And it released the results of a national study of millionaires. And it's the largest survey of millionaires ever. Now, the study, which polled over 10,000 wealthy people, found that 94% live on less money than they make. Now, though that shouldn't be no big, exciting breaking news, but it makes sense. Most people, have more month at the end of the money. Now, that characteristic, living with your means, is what's called the primary difference between rich people and wealthy people. We talked about that before.
Oh, yeah.
The intergenerational wealth planning firm wrote, a financially rich person might have a significant income now while living parched lifestyle and blowing through much of their money and material items. However, a wealthy individual, on the other hand, enjoys a more sustainable lifestyle made possible by the one biggest thing that we always talk about, though, the accumulation of assets and investments that are appreciating.
Yeah. Well, the next big roadblock is excessive debt. And instead of earning interest on their saving deposits, many people are paying interest to creditors. 11% in this survey cite excessive debt as the number one hindrance to saving money. And the funny thing, it's not that the rich don't borrow money. They tend to borrow much more heavily than ordinary income earners. But they use their debt strategically, and they use it to their advantage. And they usually leverage debt such as mortgages and business loans to build their net worth. They typically never accumulate high-rate consumer debt.
Now, another key essential that a lot of the rich people use credit in their favor and don't actually, not the banks. Now, what report from the Motley Fools report confirms assessment that mortgages are a primary reason why the rich typically hold more debt than average earners because they're more likely to be approved for loans. And the wealthy are much more likely to be homeowners than lower earners and therefore hold more housing debt in the first place. And they also tend to take out much bigger home loans for much bigger homes, but to offset these expenditures and to subsidize these housing costs by claiming mortgage interest deduction at tax time. Anyone can take the deduction, but you have to itemize the claimant, which thanks to today's high standard deduction usually makes sense only for wealthy households with lots of hefty write-offs. But now there's a hefty standard deduction that people can actually use. Now, the rich also use, which Forbes magazine calls the buy, borrow, die strategy to leverage credit to their advantage. They use what they call security-backed lines of credits to borrow against their portfolios because they got money in them and they borrow against their portfolios at low interest rates. And they use the credit to fund their lifestyles without selling to securities. Upon their deaths, remember what I said, the buy, borrow, die? Upon their deaths, their heirs receive a stepped-up basis and can sell the stock portfolios without paying capital gains taxes. That's the little secret of the wealthy.
Yeah, one of many. Another barrier is impulse shopping. 11% said impulse shopping is the biggest barrier to them reaching their savings goal. And the urge to buy unnecessary things on a whim without thought or research or comparison shopping, that doesn't discriminate by tax bracket. That goes through everybody. But the rich, at least those who are self-made, build wealth through years of financial discipline. 94% of them report living within their means, which is simply not possible if you're spending money according to your floating desires. And obviously, having a higher income can help in amassing wealth. That's a key factor for the rich, is their ability to live below their means. And that's tough to do. A lot of people just, for some reason, don't want to do that. And a lot of the self-made people, they live below their means. They prioritize savings by carefully managing their budget, making wise investment choices, consistently growing their income through strategic, care or just making sure they're making sound decisions. And impulse buying can have a detrimental effect on trying to build wealth, regardless of your financial status. And many successful individuals implement a cooling off period before making any substantial purchase. And if you can do that and just take a step away, really think through it. Do I need it? Is it going to bring me joy? Is it going to bring me happiness? You can end up making a much better decision when it comes to those big ticket items.
So, Doe, I'd like to ask you this question right now. Take a pause. Now, we know that historically, the reason why a lot of Black individuals, the Black culture, are not more in a wealthy position than other cultures is because of the inequities, when it comes to being able to have the opportunities. But what do you think about that? Why aren't more? Why do you think more people are not wealthy? Do you think it's? I mean, we know it's about the inequalities that happen, but I just don't believe. I believe it's more than that. I don't believe so. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think that plays a more minor part in it than a major part. 'Cause I think the major thing is just lack of knowledge, and ignorance to information. We talked before about the fact that we don't have that legacy of uh, money management, or money being a top issue in a household. I think that makes a huge difference if you're taught money skills while you're young, and can carry those with you throughout your life. I mean, you and I often talk about how we made a lot of mistakes when we were young, and it was simply because we didn't know. And so I think the issue is more not knowing, and not being aware, and not realizing how important money management is in your life. I mean, it's and again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's all you should care about is money, because that's we'll talk about that later. But that's greed, and I'm not talking about being greedy. But our our financial systems and tax codes, and the laws governing money situations are all very complicated, and you have to take the time to really learn in order to take advantage. I always equate it to trying to play football and not understanding the rules. I mean, if you know the rules, you can be much more effective. It's the same thing with money management. If you know the rules, you know what's important, you know how to take advantage of certain situations, you're going to be more successful. And people like you and I we didn't have parents talking to us about money. Now, I've done that with my kids, and I think my kids are all pretty savvy when it comes to handling money. And at least they can't use the excuse that they don't know, because they were taught about how to handle money. But a lot of their friends weren't. And they're saddled with debt. They live paycheck to paycheck. They don't understand the value of saving, and they don't understand the value of investing in stocks and equities, and just a lot of that goes into building wealth, comparison shopping, uh, learning to say no, not splurging. All those things play a part in building wealth. So I think it's lack of knowledge. That's what I think it is.
Well, though, it's interesting because when we talk about building wealth, it's almost like it's a two-stage uh, type of situation. Because when we say building wealth, we usually think about the individual. But when you start talking about generational wealth, which a lot of families did not have the liberty. I mean, I look at a lot of people, they don't even know their great grandfather. And a lot of times it's because they didn't leave them nothing. You know what I
All
mean?
they left them was alone, right?
Yeah, yeah. And some people tell me, well, Bob, maybe they didn't have nothing to leave because they were trying to make it. And I get that. But when we talk about building wealth, we always are talking about also generational wealth, because now there's a school of thought, though, with some financial advisor telling parents, like, hey, y'all need to be thinking about, because you're living longer, you need to be taking care of yourself, and your kids are going to be all right. Don't worry about them. But I do believe why other races, cultures get ahead is because, I mean, look at with bar misfits, they putting in the bassinet stock certificates. They're not putting the Air Jordans for babies and stuff like that. So I think, like what you said, though, it's a mindset. And no, don't get me wrong. I know there's inequities out there, and lack of opportunities which are given to others more than some. But we got to understand, like you said, the game, though. And I'm so glad that you said lack of knowledge, because that's my next key essential to building wealth. like the actual study showed that one the smallest share, just over 4%, said their biggest obstacle is a lack of knowledge. They simply don't know the best way to save money. Now, for the rich, knowledge is an investment, not an attribute. The risk is the richest of the rich establish family offices, private companies that provide dedicated wealth management, legal, and investment services to a single household, or in the case of multi-family offices, a select handful of clients. But even wealthy people that haven't reached the billionaire class almost never go it alone. The rich typically seek education and various professionals such as financial, tax, retirement, estate planning advisors to ensure their savings and investments achieve their overall financial goals. Now, unlike financial planners and advisors, which anyone can hire, the rich turn to wealth advisors or wealth managers who focus solely on high net worth people and and the household for services. They go to wealth managers for services like specifically just asset and cash management, or even another topic that they look for within these advisors is investment planning. Now, the rich also pay attention to investment fees, something that I know a lot of people that I know that are into different mutual funds. That sometimes many they overlook these investment fees. For example, more than half of the workers don't know that they're paying fees on their workplace retirement savings accounts. According to a study by the National Association of Retirement Plan Participants, yet these fees can eat away at your return. The more you pay in mutual fund fees or transaction fees means less money in your pocket. Check your account statement and see what fees you're paying. If they seem high, the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, recommends asking whether the cost can be reduced. You also should shop around for accounts with investment firms with low fees, which can help you keep more of your money, of your hard work money, that you've been trying to save in your pocket. A lot of the other services they look for is estate planning and tax planning, and even philanthropic strategies. A lot of people wants to give and make sure they help other people, and their strategies. So that's why they go to a lot of seek the knowledge so that they can fulfill these type of goals. And then there's succession planning. Moving from one particular stage in your life into another stage, and that typically require investments in the means, but the leverage there, but people leverage their expertise and experience to help the rich get richer. When you're wealthy, you don't need to have no deep financial knowledge because there's people out there that you can gather it from. It's like everything else. It's for sale.
Yeah. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about 3 things that can sabotage your building wealth. This is from Dave Ramsey, and it just struck me. I think I mentioned part of it last week, but it's just very, very clear, and it's very, very true. And I think anybody who's honest with themselves, myself included, has done things based on these things. But the 3 behaviors that can lead to you being broke are greed, fear, and pride. It's the trifecta. And when it comes to pride, for instance, it entails making a purchase solely for the purpose of impressing people. And an example was buying a car to impress somebody at a stoplight that you'll never meet. And I think I asked this question last week. Would you buy this car if no one ever saw it? And that should be your test on the pride button. Most rich people don't spend time and money trying to impress others. They're not in a race. They know they have it made or they made it. So their attention is not on what others think. In fact, many wealthy individuals wouldn't have become rich if they had spent their hard-earned money buying things to keep up with the Joneses. In terms of greed, that happens when you're only motivated by money to the exclusion of other things that are healthy. You know, you can have a money motivation to the exclusion of other things. But if your only button to push is money, that's greed. And finally, and this is one that hits a lot of people, especially people who don't have money, and that's desperation or fear. And that's the worst trait to have when it comes to finances. You know, just about 20 seconds after you're desperate, you get stupid. Right after you get stupid, you get broke. You know, it's a progressive, casual thing. Desperate leads to stupid, leads to broke. And so keeping a cool head when things look dire will avert many instances of financial misfortune. We've talked about this all the time that a lot of people sell their stocks when they're going down, which is selling at its lowest point. And the smart people buy when they're going down and sell when they're going up. They're not greedy. They don't want to make all the money. They just want to make some money. So think about those three things when you're getting ready to make large purchases and really determine if that's a purchase you should make.
That's some very good advice though, because those three things, fear, greed, and pride. I've just seen pride in so many instances, and it's amazing why some people tend to want to measure what other people are doing against what they're doing, and that's some of the worst things you can do is listen to something because a lot of people be faking it, got all these big cars and big houses, but in so much debt
Yeah.
and in so much turmoil and making just such bad decisions. And I know so many people are really struggling. And it's just dope. Like I said, yes, there's inequities when it comes to, the black race and opportunities. But a lot of times it's because the decisions that people make that put them in a hole, that make them dig that hole deeper, and they get so deep down into that hole that they can't get out, and it just it's like an albatross around their neck. So I hope that y'all sorted some of these key wealth building uh, scenarios we talked about today. And I know it's probably a little bit different than what y'all thought we'd probably be talking about, like giving you the hottest stock or the newest business to get into or the top cryptocurrency. No, it's things that you need. It's simple things you need to do, though.
Hey, Bob, you know what we always say, right? Stop buying things you don't need with money you don't have to impress people who don't care.
Yeah, we need. I need to make a banner for that though, because that is so true. So all of you out there who's listening today, if you have some tips on wealth building, put them in the comment box, or tell us how you feel. Are you wealthy? Do you feel that you made good decisions? Let us know about it. Put some comments in the box and let us know that how you feel about it. And one of the things and I just want to talk about the black culture though. A lot of times, and I'm not trying to pick on churches, but a lot of times in the churches, they shun or discourage people to build wealth. I won't say to build wealth. They put it more like money is the root of all evil. And I've heard people say that so many times, and it's in First Timothy. And actually, that is not the statement. The statement is the love of money is the root of all evil. But because a lot of people, consider uh, money as it's the devil, or it if you go after money, it increases greed, and it's not true though. And I think that's another prohibitor from us as people getting ahead because we have these old mores and these old traditions that are so blocking us from really enjoying the wealth that we really can by being able to just get more knowledge, take a little bit more risk, and understand what you're trying to do and sit out there and establish some goals for yourself. So with that though, I'd just like to go, let's go to our takeaways from the day, because as we say, we always talk a lot and we want to just recap and hope that y'all pick up on some of this.
Okay, the first one, and that one's, I want to talk about it for a little while. Increase your income streams. And that's a tough one. If you're working, it's you don't have a lot of time. And we talked about that being one of the major reasons that people don't save is because they don't make enough money. But find another way to increase your income stream. That's one of my few regrets. I don't have a lot in life, but I do wish I had started a business. I actually got my CPA license in hopes of doing that, but I never did it for a bunch of different reasons, and they'd all be just excuses. And I do realize how much time and effort it takes to start a business, and it's not something you can do on a whim. It takes a lot of planning, a lot of work, and you got to be willing to fail because most small businesses fail. But and I say it's a regret, but I'm kind of happy the way things turned out anyway. But like I mentioned before, that's just one of the things that the tax code gives such an advantage to business owners that it just makes sense to do that. And there's other ways to increase your income streams. I taught school part-time to make extra money. There's a bunch of different things you can do. You got to look at what you have talent in, what things you can translate, what people will pay for. Sometimes it's just hard work. It may just be working a second job at Walmart or whatever, but that's one way to do it. Increase your income streams. That's going to give you a lot more money to save, a lot more chances, a lot more opportunities to build wealth.
The next one is live. Actually live, but live within your means. Now, we're not asking nobody to live in a daggone shoebox, but you should treat yourself to some good things. But the key is to live within your means. And you know how much money you earn. And the name of the game is to live off of, don't try to live off the majority of what you earn. The key is to make a plan where you can live off, the less amount of money. You don't want to be using your whole amount of money. And like I say, getting in so much debt that you live in paycheck to paycheck. But when you live within your means, and like I said, you can still live a wonderful, enjoyable life and taking trips, but it's all about a mindset. You need to think about, okay, what is the lifestyle that I want to live? And once you think about the lifestyle that you would like to live, then think about the things you need to do to acquire the things so that you are able to live the lifestyle that you want to live. It's that simple. It's just not easy.
Yeah. Use debt strategically. And unequivocally, most credit card debt is bad. And I'm not talking about people who need it for an emergency. I'm talking about people who need it to buy a lot of stuff that they don't really need, that they could do without. But as we mentioned in the core of our presentation, the rich people use debt to make money. They don't use it for credit card debt to buy things. They use it to invest. They use it to get mortgages. They use it to get assets that appreciate in value.
Cash rewards.
Yeah. So use debt strategically. Don't let credit use you. Use credit to your advantage.
The next one sounds so simple because we've heard this 100 times. Budget and plan your spending. Now, we all know what that means, but a lot of people struggle with this because they don't write it down. Even if you write it on the back of a napkin, putting it down crystallizes that what you're trying to do. And it's all about prioritizing your savings by prioritizing savings by carefully managing your budget, making wise investment choices, and consistently growing your income through strategic career moves or even successful entrepreneurial endeavors. It's all about just really, really you all sitting down and making good choices with your money.
Yeah, and last but not least, I think this one is pretty important. Learn what you need to know, but also know when you need help. And a lot of times you can learn enough about a subject that's going to tell you it's above your pay grade, that you need to go get help. And it pains me to think about money that has been, I don't want to say lost, but money that has been not made because people don't know the tax code or don't know what they should have done, don't know the comparison shop. There's a lot of things that if you don't know can cost you money. And the sad part is most people don't know that they don't know. And you have to put some time into increasing your financial knowledge, especially as your wealth grows up and your life becomes more complicated. And it's very, very key to know when you need help, to get professional help. And you still can't stop there, because even if you get professional help, you have to make sure that that person knows what they're doing, that they're acting in your best interest, that they are doing things that are best for you. So they may have the technical expertise in taxes, and you may go to them to do your taxes, but you still have to know how to make decisions throughout the year that are going to help your tax situation. So take some time to invest in your financial knowledge.
So that's it for tonight, but we really hope that you learned some key essential keys to building wealth. And even if you've heard some of these before, hopefully it reinforces some of the things that you already knew. And like I always says, please go out there and share this information, because the more you share it, the more you give to others, the more it will come back to you. And we'd like to thank everybody who wants to do our roll call. Like to thank my sister Gloria and Linda for hanging out with us again. My good brother Carl Chapman, how you doing, bro? And the wonderful Garnett Nickens and Modestine Johnson, what's happening? And the wonderful Now Dodie, Mrs. Now Dodie, how are you now? What's up? And the noteexperience.com, Rodney, Mr. Rodney Madison Sr. So thank you. This is our 120th show. Next week will be our 121st show. So we sure hope you tune in. And next week, though, is going to be the 5th of October. Wow. Time, man, what happened with this year, though? Time is really moving. So we look forward to seeing you. Like I said, continue to put comments in the comment box, y'all. We're looking for other subjects, and we want to meet you where you are, to give you as much information that we can. That is our goal at the FITT Show, because it's financial information for today and tomorrow. So tune in next week and have a wonderful weekend.